Well, Penhanda, and thank you once again for joining me today. This week we have held the latest 3-week review of the coronavirus regulations to see if we are able in Wales to move fully into alert level 0. I'll begin as usual by sharing the latest information we have about the state of the pandemic in Wales, and this is the information that the Cabinet has had in coming to the decisions that I'm setting out today. Now, when I was last here 3 weeks ago, coronavirus cases were rising sharply throughout Wales. Today, I'm pleased to say that cases are once again falling in most parts of the country. On the slide that you will see in a moment, you will be able to see the way in which the most recent surge in cases took place from the beginning of June and into July, never getting back anything like to the figures we saw back at the start of the year, but nevertheless a sharp increase. The good news is at the end of the slide you see in the last 10 days or so the start of cases beginning to fall back again. Today there are around 130 cases per 100,000 people in Wales, and that figure is lower than it was 3 weeks ago, and that has helped us in creating the conditions in which we are able to move forward. Now, the other crucial factor in shaping our decisions, of course, is vaccination, and as of today, 82% of adults in Wales have had both doses of the vaccine. With every day that passes, that number continues to increase as more people make the decision to protect themselves and their loved ones. Our high vaccination rates, some of the best in the whole of the world, have helped to weaken the link between coronavirus infections, serious illness and hospitalisation. But as cases in the community rose, we have seen a small but noticeable rise in the number of people who have fallen so seriously ill that they have needed to be admitted to hospital. And very sadly too, there has been a small rise in the number of people dying from coronavirus, each one leaving a family mourning the loss of a loved one. And once again, as ever, our thoughts are with all those families over the whole of the last 18 months whose lives have been changed as a result of this awful virus. And while the numbers are much smaller than they have been in previous waves, thanks to the success of vaccination and the way in which everyone in Wales has stuck to the rules, those figures are a sobering reminder of just how awful the virus remains. Now, we have carefully looked at all the evidence and the data, and as a result I can confirm that we will be moving to alert level 0 here in Wales as from 6 a.m. tomorrow. Now, having reached this important milestone, we now need carefully to monitor the impact of lifting so many restrictions, and we therefore do not expect to make any further changes at the next review. So the changes we've announced today set the pattern for at least the next 6 weeks. And that's why this is such a significant moment for us all. For the first time since the pandemic began, all business will be able to open and all legal limits on meeting people in indoor private spaces will be removed as well. But alert level 0 does not mean the end of coronavirus, and it very certainly does not mean a free-for-all here in Wales. We still have people who are clinically vulnerable in our communities, and most people in Wales want to go on acting carefully to protect their health and the health of others. Because while we go on doing so, we can all enjoy personal freedoms with a confidence that there are still important protections in place to make sure our public health is being safeguarded. So even at alert level 0, we will continue to ensure that employers take steps to protect their workers and their customers. COVID risk assessments will be a legal requirement for all businesses, employers and event organisers. Now they will have greater flexibility about the reasonable measures that they must put in place based on that risk assessment to reduce exposure to the virus. But the measures that are identified must be implemented. And here in Wales, the advice of the Welsh Government continues to be that people should work from home wherever that is possible. Face coverings will continue to be a legal requirement in indoor places, except for education and hospitality settings, and of course on public transport and when visiting hospitals or care homes. As from this weekend, there will be no legal limit on the number of people who can meet in private homes, but also in public spaces or at events. And as I've said, all businesses will now be reopened. Now, as we move into alert level 0, it becomes more important than ever that as many people as possible are vaccinated, because it's vaccination that has got us to this better place. Thanks to the incredible work of our vaccination teams and the enthusiasm of everyone in Wales, we have very high take-up rates against most priority groups and age groups. In many cases, in most cases in fact, more than 90%. We continue to make good progress in the younger age groups too, but I want to encourage everyone, especially in those younger age groups who've yet to come forward and have a vaccine, to come and get one. It's never too late to be vaccinated here in Wales. It helps protect you, your friends and your family. And making an appointment is really easy, and in many parts of Wales you can simply turn up to a walk-in clinic. Now, health boards have started to invite teenagers approaching their 18th birthday for their first vaccination, and children who live with clinically vulnerable adults. And as of today, they have also started to send invitations to 16 and 17-year-olds, having received the JCVI advice just a couple of days ago. And of course, we want as many of these young people as possible to be vaccinated before the new school and college terms begin. So from tomorrow, all adults who have been fully vaccinated and under 18 will have an additional benefit here in Wales, because they will no longer need to self-isolate if they are identified as a close contact of someone who has tested positive for COVID. Of course, anyone, whether they're vaccinated or not, must self-isolate if they've got the symptoms of the virus or if they have been tested as positive. This is what helps us to break chains of transmission while keeping Wales safe and keeping Wales working. And we're going to do more to support those on low incomes who still have to self-isolate, raising the £500 self-isolation payment to £750 and making it easier for people to apply. And the payment will be available to all those who are eligible who are told to self-isolate. Now, there's a lot to take in from what's been announced today, and we're going to put a slide up which will show a summary of the main changes as we move to alert level 0. All the changes that you see summarised on the slide, the lifting of the numbers of people who can meet together, flexibility for businesses reopened and so on. All of those are the changes that will come into effect from tomorrow. And we've only been able to do this because of everything that everyone in Wales has done, because of the way people have followed the rules and worked so hard to protect our families and to keep Wales safe. Moving to alert level 0 is another big step closer to life, as it was before the pandemic began. But we must go on working together to keep this virus under control. Everything we do has an impact on the virus. Together, we can keep it under control. Together, we will keep Wales safe. Diolch o galon I chi gyd am popeth chi'n ei wneud. Now, as usual, to take questions from journalists, and as ever, all the answers will be broadcast on the Welsh Government social media outlets.